An offensive from the fringes has been launched against mainstream society.
This is your opportunity to leave. If you don't do that, we'll be arrested.
Hope you got all that.
How do you feel then when you get labelled as a domestic terrorist?
It's just what we call the spin. It's like the sovereign citizen. It's out there to try and discredit us.
It's a quasi-civil war. And the front lines are courts, councils and cops.
Thank you, you may be seated.
The new armies are self-appointed law enforcement groups.
The defendants, in this case, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, on the charge of human trafficking.
Guilty.
And so these sovereign citizens, like, what are they saying?
Some people call these groups sovereign citizens.
Are you a sovereign citizen?
I am a sovereign citizen, and everyone is a sovereign citizen.
Many try to distance themselves from the label.
Is this the peak body representing the sovereign citizen movement?
Nah, there is no peak body, and there is no sovereign citizen movement.
Whatever they call themselves, these groups are united in a belief that the government is illegitimate. They operate in an alternate reality where people have ultimate authority over the state. They believe a new age is coming.
Stand your ground, hold your line in all.
Post-COVID, the sovereign citizen movement is not fringe anymore.
Shot.
Governments are underestimating the reach and threats of these movements.
These groups take us inside their movement for the first time. We ask them what they want and what they're prepared to do to get it.
People that are angry and are willing to choose which laws to obey or not do start making death threats. This is really violent. We have to be really careful about this. This is not a laughing matter.
Just wave to a cop. Here he comes.
I just need your driver's license. You're the driver.
I'm not driving. Driving is a techno term for in-commerce. Please provide evidence I'm doing business.
You might recognise these scenes.
But I'm not under your law.
As a driver,
I do not have to.
As I've observed you driving.
Are you conspiring to commit murder? In fact, you can't force rape me.
Is it your vehicle?
During COVID, a group of people started broadcasting their clashes with police.
Travelling in my private property.
No, you can call it whatever you like, but I'm telling you, you're driving a motor vehicle in Victoria.
It's easy. Oh, whoa. He's under arrest.
Please state your name and address.
The common law does not require...
Please state your name and address or I'll place you under arrest.
Let me put it to you that acts only apply to persons, to fictitious people. I'm a living man. Do you agree that I'm a living man?
You don't have consent.
If you break my window...
Open it up.
If you break my window, no, you are trespassing against my property, sir.
But what starts as a bold declaration of freedom from the law can quickly turn to financial ruin or imprisonment.
You're on my property, mate. I'm asking you.
I'm on your property because we are impounding your vehicle.
I want to meet the man in this video.
You're breaking the law, fellas. I know the law.
John, how are you? I'm good. I think I'm at the end of your street. How are you, John? Good to meet you. Thanks for having us.
That's good.
Appreciate it.
Come on board.
Dog. Here you go.
One-time law student John Quaremba lives on a houseboat docked on Hindmarsh Island.
Come on, mate.
Thanks for having us.
So it's pretty basic, anybody?
How long have you been out here on the...
2 years. 2 years now on the boat. That's just good. The coffee was all right, coffee. We'll make a beautiful coffee for you, mate.
From his boat, John is waging what he calls lawfare against the system. He has thousands of followers.
I think what I see, and I said to you, it's like a quasi-civil war. Damn, it's like a paper war. You know, sugar?
When COVID border closures kept him from visiting his mother, John began questioning the government.
My mum was, you know, she was getting cancer treatment, she was in stage 4. So when we weren't able to see her, that was profound, because it was the first time that I thought, wait a second, I thought we were one country, like a federated country, and they closed the borders. And we were like, and so that then really started making me question the law, and I did always want to sort of study. And at that time,
but you also really you wanted to see your mum, right?
I really wanted to see mum, yeah. So I went over, I broke the law, you know, that they said it was at the time. And that was pretty tough. This is the thing that, you know, I didn't get vaccinated, I didn't wear a mask, I was ostracised in my community. I had pretty strong beliefs about what was going on. We haven't had any accountability, and the people are still angry. Under the surface, still bubbling, that anger is still bubbling.
Anger over COVID restrictions reached a crescendo in 2022 during the convoy to Canberra.
Stand your ground, hold your line in light, in love and peace, and lawfully.
It would become the largest protest ever held on the steps of Parliament.
It's a bit of a sticky situation, Abby.
John took on a leadership role.
Because I'm not going to be intimidated by you.
I can still hear the excitement in your voice.
Oh, but it was because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know. I thought I was just going there to be a protester, like everybody else, just, you know, just say enough's enough. But then what happened when I got there, really quickly, within sort of 48 hours, I found myself like right at the tip of the spear.
Unit, forward, forward.
The protesters were kicked out, and one of the organisers was arrested when police found his loaded sawn-off rifle. The convoy was over, but a new movement was born.
For a lot of people, that was the first time that they'd really confronted law as a coercive force. The law telling you that you can't do the thing that you really want to do. I have to wear a mask in public. I have to get the vaccine if I want to go into this job. That felt really onerous for a lot of people. And suddenly, law was not always their friend.
Dr. Joe McIntyre has been charting the rise of what's called pseudolaw. It's where people use legal-sounding phrases and arguments that have no actual basis in law. They're often drawn from conspiracy theories.
There were gatherings of anti-vax protesters that really operated to help disseminate a lot of the theory of pseudolaw. And then that spread back into the regions, and we've got different hotbeds all around Australia.
So I was finding out who was going and who was challenging the system. So there's different methods of challenging it that people are doing.
John operates in an alternate legal world, and it's difficult to make sense of it.
This is some of the paperwork that comes through that's been actually interpreted into sort of Australian jurisdiction to explain what it is, okay? So, and this is why I've never presented this to any authorities, okay, because I innately know what's going on with the sovereign citizen movement. Okay, that's a declassified AFP document. So this here is literally what they are talking about. So that there, where you see when someone's put a thumbprint on there, the AFP and the authorities say that if you see that anywhere, you're dealing with a sovereign citizen. They don't worry about what's written on there. They look at something as an identifier here. But when you look at that identifier, you can also see that there's a public notary.
What's the significance of all of this?
Right. So it has come to my attention that the occupying Unidroit government is in flagrant violation of Palermo protocols through unconscionable use of debased dog Latin glossa fraud. Therefore, I'm cancelling power of attorney over my legal persons and all relevant trade names, back to the permanent domicile of the land and soil jurisdiction of Terra Australis, commonly known as the Commonwealth of Australia. Effectively,
John believes this document cancels his legal status in the mainstream system. This, he says, allows him to live his life according to a set of principles he calls common law.
So what is common law?
Well, in whose eyes? I mean,
in your eyes?
Well, in my eyes, common law sort of means a few things. Common law is, do no harm, injury or loss. Just come over here, mate. Just walk your step.
The way these groups use the term common law is different to the way our legal system does. They believe it empowers them to operate under a natural, God-given law that is superior to any of the rules that govern society.
Can you see why these ideas might appeal to most people?
This is really a powerful spell. If I cast this spell properly, I don't have to pay my mortgage. Who wants to pay their mortgage? I don't have to pay my tax. Who wants to pay their tax? So I can believe in the law, I have the access to the true law, I'm not a lawbreaker, and I avoid those legal consequences I don't want. That's a really beguiling combination. And we get lots of different groups that are doing this, but the sovereign citizen is the one that most people may have heard of before.
John doesn't consider himself a sovereign citizen, but many of his arguments come from their playbook. Last year, he was charged with driving unlicensed, unregistered, uninsured, and with someone else's plates on his car.
People are going to ask, why don't you just get a license?
Okay, so...
You know what I mean?
I read too much law. That's probably why. I just like to question everything and challenge and test. And what I found is that once we start applying the rules, like everybody else does, like the barristers and the lawyers do, is that we start to have success.
There is absolutely no legitimacy to any of it. And that has been found by courts at every level and in every state in Australia and at every level and in every country in the world.
Before he was Dean of Law at Southern Cross University, David Heilpern was a magistrate in New South Wales. He remembers when he first encountered sovereign citizen or pseudo-law arguments in his courtroom.
A smattering of people came before me talking what I thought was an entirely different legal language, which was along the lines of, I am not that person, you must capitalise my name, you have no authority to sit there, you didn't take an oath, I have a right to a trial by jury, and sort of a mishmash of what we now know as sovereign citizen views, theories and approaches.
These groups are no longer an occasional administrative headache for courts. We've confirmed they are now a top concern within the judiciary today. A few weeks after we met John, we join him as he faces the Adelaide Magistrates Court.
John, good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise.
What's your charge?
Well, the charges are minor driving matters, just driving offences. This has been, for me, an investigation to be able to get all the evidence that I needed to show the collusion that's being used against the Australian people from propaganda of name-calling them something, whether it be sovereign citizen, so that they can deny them due process, procedural fairness and natural justice.
I go in to watch. John tries to mount a common law defence that he was breaking the law out of necessity. And as evidence, he presents the declassified AFP briefing on sovereign citizens he showed me earlier. His arguments fail, and he's found guilty on all 5 counts.
How do you feel the judge found you guilty on all 5 counts?
It's a technical process, and this is what I can tell you right now is that people are being disillusioned with. When they see people like me that really try their art out to learn and do everything the right way, and they go, well, if you've got a guy like that that's trying to do it the right way and it doesn't work, we might as well go in there and give them the pseudo-law arguments. As I say in law, you don't win or lose, you win or learn.
John is still waiting to be sentenced.
These are people who feel as though they've lost a lot or are at risk of losing it all.
And many of them are, because once they go down the rabbit hole of sovereign citizenship, you know, they may lose their licence, but they don't care. That doesn't apply to them, so they keep driving. So then it's drive while disqualified. And then they don't stop when the police tell them to stop. And that becomes a police chase. And then, so it just escalates. And the end result for many of them is prison. And they're going to fight that every step of the way.
Judge, are you concerning treason against the King of England?
Threats to judicial officers from pseudo-law adherents are real and rising.
You are now charged, you are under arrest, you are trading in necromancy, you are in treason. You are in treason.
This man, Derek Ballog, has a history of intimidating courts. He sells advice to people in expensive online classes, claiming great success in getting people off charges.
Can I get someone to count how many sheriffs are here, because they will all be putting our affidavit to the federal police.
2, 4, 6.
I've got one sheriff's badge number. Can we have every sheriff's
7,
badge?
8.
Judges, including David Heilpern, have been the target of death threats.
Yes, threats against me, threats against lawyers, threats against police. There was a person who regularly appeared before me in a court charged with a whole range of offences, and he had been mounting sovereign citizen arguments, which I had been dismissing and convicting him. And then he bailed himself up in a house, indicated that he was going to kill anyone who came for him, and kill the judicial officers, not just me, but others who'd been involved in his case. That means increased protection at your homes. Your family have to be alerted. There's increased security measures in the courts. Those things take a toll on you as a judicial officer and as a person, as a parent.
These kinds of threats have the capacity to become violent.
They're saying that their laws and their rules and their orders override the legitimate ones. And that is a step towards what we've seen, which is violence.
The US has seen a cascade of violent incidents involving sovereign citizens, like the shooting of 2 police officers during a traffic stop in Arkansas in 2010. The heavily armed assault on a courthouse in Georgia in 2014. And just last year, 5 shootouts with police, including at 2 traffic stops.
Hey, Patrick. This is your last chance to come out, Patrick. You've got a felony warrant for your arrest, a bunch of other warrants. Oh, there you go.
I've been tracking sovereign citizens' interactions with police and also sovereign citizens who have engaged in violence.
Dr. Christine Sarteski is a professor of criminology who's been recording these incidents for years internationally.
I have currently, in terms of the violence database, over 600 cases where they have engaged in violence, and approximately 140 of them are involved in murder cases. And, you know, there's been I think a notion that sovereigns are rarely violent. I think that I've heard that repeatedly, that they are primarily paper terrorists. And so I wanted to track some of their behavior and crimes to see, is that true? Are they primarily paper terrorists? And while it is still early in the data collection process, it does seem that they do engage in quite a bit of violence activity.
And it's happened here too. Wiambilla is a rural town west of Brisbane. In late 2022, it was the scene of a deadly shooting and marked a turning point in Australia's understanding of domestic extremism.
He shot Rachel, I believe. I think she's dead. They're coming, they're shooting. The other two officers. Fuck. You good? Fuck. I think I'm being shot. Fuck.
2 police officers and a neighbour were murdered in a premeditated ambush by Gareth, Nathaniel and Stacey Train, who adhered to a Christian extremist ideology. The attack bore the hallmarks of sovereign-style paranoia, distrust of state authority, rejection of legal legitimacy, and the belief that violence was justified in resisting tyranny. Some of the people we spoke to for this story described the Trains almost like martyrs for the freedom movement.
After the shooting, Queensland Police and ASIO said the Train family were not sovereign citizens. It highlights a problem with trying to divide people into narrow groups when they seem to be part of one common cause. If authorities fail to recognise a broader definition of anti-government extremism, they could miss the true extent of this evolving movement. People that we've spoken to are really trying to distance themselves from the sovereign citizen label.
I have seen that as well, the shift away from the term sovereign citizen, and I think it's primarily because there is a belief among many sovereign citizens that their governments have labeled them as terrorists, and they do not wish to be seen as a terrorist. They don't regard themselves as such.
Is it a rebranding, or do you think it's a genuine shift in their ideology?
I think it's an attempt at a rebrand, but if you listen to what they say, everything is what they've always said.
Northwest Tasmania is a known hotbed of anti-government views. Here, people are forcing their agendas on local councils. And many of the people we're speaking to say this man is a key figure in implementing the strategy, Shane Allison, known as Kush.
How are you, Kush?
Hi. How you going,
Good to meet you.
You too.
Pleasure.
So this is sort of where it all started. My grandmother lived up there on the corner of Bell's Parade. And
Kush's views range from opposition to wind farms and vaccines to conspiracy theories that politicians traffic children and Jewish bankers control the world. He rejects the term sovereign citizen.
It's a total oxymoron. Same as conspiracy theorist. And it's just branding people names, you know. You get people, I deal with people that call themselves activists. Why do you want to be branded anything?
But there is an umbrella of frustrations that these community members all feel together.
Umbrella's probably a good word rather than a bracket. And yeah, they all feel disjointed, not getting, just being respected for coming in as a community meeting.
Kush believes the best way to challenge the government is with grassroots action in local councils. He's a former councillor himself.
You can enact a lot of changes if you have a fair council and proper debate, and people are voting on their community to start with, and then their region, and then their state, rather than voting for an idealism of a government or an opposition or a party, or what the government's agenda is trying to be pushed.
What about the councillors that say they feel threatened when people come into these council meetings in big numbers?
If you're not answering the questions and you get gaslit while you're in there, yes, people get angry. This is where I grew up, all around here.
Kush's main goal appears to be greater scrutiny of all local council decisions. This campaign is placing a major burden on them. Earlier this year, Kentish Council held a vote on a motion claiming COVID vaccines are contaminated. Cush and his supporters backed it, and it passed 22 to 12. The Mayor told us councils don't have the authority to decide on anything to do with vaccines. Cush rejects that. He believes the people had spoken and organised a protest at a Kentish Council meeting.
And what they say goes, they don't listen to the people at all.
We've got to make it, before they shut the back door as well.
Round the back door. Hey, we can't get in the front door. We'll have to go round the back.
Quick, so they don't.
As residents arrive, councillors appear uneasy. Two of the residents turn up, despite being banned, for what the council says is unacceptable behaviour. The police are called. And they're asked to leave.
This is the very person
Thank you, please leave.
I don't want to deal with.
Please leave.
No, well, let's go.
I need you to get into your car and leave the property.
Let's go to your car.
Andrew, go to your car.
Cush's strategy is part of an organised effort spreading across the country. In Victoria, sovereign citizen-linked groups have bombarded local government with so many petitions and protests, they've had to cancel events and ban the public from meetings. In Western Australia, intense lobbying has pushed more than a dozen cities and rural councils to consider opposing COVID rules. And in New South Wales and Queensland, one group even walked into council and police stations declaring they no longer held any jurisdiction.
In Western Australia, I've come to meet a group that takes commitment to people power to a new level.
I'm Mahmood.
Mahmood, how are you? Alan, how are you?
The Sovereign People's Assembly of Western Australia is a self-declared common law group that has set up its own court. It's even appointed its own common law sheriffs to enforce their judgments. For the first time, they've agreed to speak to the mainstream media.
It's full time for some of us, all day, every day, 7 days a week, fielding lots of phone calls, lots of emails, queries from all over Australia, all over the world now as well.
This is from the Federal Court of Australia. They're breaking their own rules. So that's why people are coming to us, because they want remedy.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This common law court is now in session.
They held their first common law court case in 2022. On trial were the people who imposed the mandates during COVID.
Has the jury reached a verdict on all charges?
Yes.
Their jury finds the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison and all the state premiers guilty of multiple crimes.
On the charge of violation of the Nuremberg Code, how does the jury find the defendants?
Guilty.
On the charge of genocide?
Guilty.
On the charge of human trafficking?
Guilty on the charges of human trafficking. After a really good lengthy discussion, the jury have agreed that with all the defendants on the charges of fraud, the remedy will start off with a minimum of 30 years for each defendant?
Duly noted. The people have decided, and that is it.
I'm keen to ask the adjudicator, Alan, about the court cases.
When the common law sheriffs sentence someone like the Prime Minister, is that just symbolic? Is it just for attention, or are you serious? Are you seriously sentencing them?
Well, they've come before a jury, and it is serious, yes. Yes, they've committed crimes. So, if you look at the recent COVID, one of our first major cases that we had was in a common law court with a full jury, and we heard the evidence as set out. There's no judges or magistrates in there. There's just an adjudicator and the witnesses. Yes, when they're found guilty, they are found guilty of a charge, and they could get a jail sentence or a fine. But once again, we can't impose that at this stage because the police won't recognise our court orders. The only tools we have is psychological.
And you don't have jails.
Sorry? And jails. Well, jails is another thing. I'm not going to, I don't think we can lock them up in our back garden somewhere. So, but, on these people, it's a psychological message to them. And they play games with the people, basically.
I care about you.
2 of their common law sheriffs were recently jailed for contempt of court. They're still rattled by the case. The sentencing judge described the group's ideology as extremely dangerous, adding that dangerous ideas breed dangerous people.
You've had 2 of your members wind up in jail.
Absolutely.
How did that feel?
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
In the conversations I'm having, people keep raising their fears about being disarmed. It seems fueled by police revoking gun licences from people with sovereign citizen beliefs. They fear the police want to disarm the people so they can control them.
Who's got all the guns? And it's no time in history has a population been disarmed, has there not been genocide? And this is what they're doing here now. And I mean, talk about conspiracy. When we have all this information and we're presented to the authorities, I mean, we've asked for an audience with the commissioners, we've asked for an audience with politicians. They won't answer questions because they can't.
Then, Alan makes a call for more guns.
I know that, as far as having a population that is sensible and armed and educated is a good deterrent to not only its own government from enforcing things, but any foreign entity that wants to come into this country and, like the United States, they think about you've got a ready-made army sitting there ready to go that could potentially be difficult for an invader.
So, Leith, how long have you been involved in this?
After speaking with several members, it's clear Crown Leith Masters is the spiritual guru of the Sovereign People's Assembly of Western Australia.
Leith, are you a sovereign citizen?
I am a sovereign citizen, and everyone is a sovereign citizen. And that is worth knowing about because the media love to put it out there as a spin that sovereign citizen is some kind of cult, something to be frightened of, or some radical movement. It is not that at all. It is simply the architecture between law and legal. So if we look at our diagram, the sovereign lives here in the living, in law, evidenced by the breath. That is the ultimate evidence of living breath.
What is the Great Awakening?
It is the movement out of one age of 2,000 years called the Age of Pisces, where we were in guardianship, into the new age, the Age of Aquarius, which is the time of humanitarianism, where we are totally poised to ensure that all of humanity is looked after equitably. That is the Great Awakening.
That sounds interesting, but what does it mean?
Well, I've just been explaining it to you. As we move out of a legal system where we've been put into guardianship, where we can't be seen and we can't be heard, And then we move back into law where we are seen and we are heard. And all of the industries that have been created by the use of our resources, including the government, which is our public servant. It loves to put the word authority on all of its, and on the end of all of its departments. It's not the authority, it's the public servant. We're the authority, the people are the authority working in law.
Do you have trust in any mainstream institutions like hospitals, schools, or the health system?
Yeah, absolutely. But we have to recognise that what has been happened, now this is a key factor, in that all of those institutions are managed by our inherent right to resources, which are stored in what is called Sesta KV trusts. Now, Sesta KV trust is something that means we will look after your resources whilst you are lost. And where we are lost is in the Holy See. And why in the Holy See? Because this is all Vatican constructs. We've been under the guardianship of the Vatican. So whilst we're lost, allegedly, they get to monetize our energy and the planet through things like the birth certificate and modes of currency, like the US dollar, for example.
When the Assembly's court or grand jury makes a judgment, it falls to the sheriffs to serve these orders to the parties. Today, they're serving the Western Australian Land Titles Office, Landgate, with documents relating to mortgages held by farmers. How often do you go about serving people?
We've been doing a lot of serving this year. We've got put together what we call bundles, which are bundles of documents which have been written by Crown Executive Orders and all the grand jury orders which are applicable to, in this case, or Donna can explain about the
farmers we've got.
Yeah.
Brought evidence to the grand jury. We've had up to 40 or 50 jurors vote unanimously on these orders around Australia. Yeah.
And what outcomes do you hope to achieve?
Farmers get their farms back.
So what happened?
The assistant to the registrar come down and spoke to us for a while, and they are going to lodge the documents, not put them on the title, which we would like, but yeah, just taking them and accepting them and having them lodged and put on file, I think is a good win.
Yeah. This is happening all over the country?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
The sheriffs we are the guardians of the law. We are always coming in peace. We are always in peace.
So how do you feel then when you get labelled as a domestic terrorist? Because, you know, that label comes from somewhere, like it is.
FBI in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But they do that because there have been radical instances where violence has occurred.
Well, it's just what we call the spin. It's like the sovereign citizen. It's out there to try and discredit us, but at the end of the day, law is the superior jurisdiction, and that is going to win out eventually.
We asked Landgate about the documents they received. They said they found no legal merit in the 200-odd pages and don't intend to take any further action at this time. For some on the receiving end of pseudo-law judgments, the harm can feel very real. How are you? Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Scott Murren lives in a state of constant readiness. He believes there's a risk he could lose his children to a sovereign citizen group.
I've had letters sent demanding I hand the children over.
The boy's mother became a sovereign citizen during COVID.
I had one letter sent to say that I had to take my children to a isolated rural property somewhere in Gympie, I think in Queensland, and hand them over and face a law court up there in which I was looking at life in prison and hard labour. I don't know how they're going to make that happen. I've had threats that their law enforcement officers, spelt LORE, or their sheriffs, would come and take the kids and return them to their mother.
In 2021, Scott's ex took the boys to a protest in Canberra where the old Parliament House doors were set on fire.
It was sickening to see two young boys at the front doors of Old Parliament House. You know, kids shouldn't be present at any of that.
What kind of steps have you taken to protect your kids?
Lots. I've got friends that regularly patrol past our house day and night. If any suspicious vehicles or persons around, I'm made aware pretty quickly. I've installed CCTV cameras. I've had to put trackers on my youngest son. So the two dots there show the boys still at school. I'll get a phone call from Tyler at the moment he gets on the bus or just before. Once I know they're on the bus, I'll track them all the way until I get here. It's generally about 15, 20 minutes.
I need your most senior on duty.
Scott's ex is Helen Delaney. A video of her being stopped by police in her car went viral in 2023.
You don't have any jurisdiction on this land. Oh, look out. You're under arrest. You're a freak. Yep. Yeah, man, I would love to just get you one-on-one.
Last year, Helen was arrested for breaching an AVO and stalking.
You will be personally, privately and civilly liable. Do you understand that? I have a private leave schedule here and you're trafficking me. And you'll understand that you're under arrest? Impersonating. No, I'm not under arrest. You're kidnapping me. All right. And I'm telling you, I'm not in your jurisdiction. Okay. You're foreign to me.
She spent several months in jail. It provided only a brief reprieve for Scott from the group's activities.
This term keeps coming up, paper terrorism. What does it mean in your experience?
In my experience, once they get hold of your home address, your email, they bombard you. Some of the emails can be 50 pages long. It's gobbledygook, nonsense to me, but it's constant. You get that. If a police officer's involved in the case and they manage to get his email, then he'll get the same. It happened to my lawyers. It happened to all of the judges and registrars in the federal court that were involved in our case. And it's relentless. It doesn't stop. Yeah. I often see them walking down the street.
G'day, how you doing, mate? I'm Mahmood. Hi. Pleasure to meet you. So tell me about this.
It's just our little koi pond.
Why koi?
Just the colours on them, I guess, and they're sort of peaceful to be around and watch and stuff.
Scott's son Tyler has had to find ways to cope with what's happened.
Does it help you kind of de-stress or decompress?
Definitely, yeah. Just to come out here for that, even just the 10 minutes and feed them and take in their surroundings and the movements and stuff. Because they're a freshwater fish, they have no predatory species.
This growing wave of anger aimed at our institutions is quietly spreading in communities across Australia. The broad ideologies of these groups are hard to classify, making it difficult for the authorities to measure their true impact. As these groups grow increasingly frustrated by a system they feel alienated from, and as their tactics against councils and courts fail, the risk of violence increases.
Once you start feeling angry and you start saying we can pick and choose which laws we obey, well, I'm going to keep some guns in the back garden. I'm going to start making threats to people. Why would I obey those sort of laws? And so we get some really dangerous threats. We have seen violence. Internationally, we've seen murders. We've seen the Reichsbürger movement in Germany tried to mount a coup. They tried to overthrow the government. Like, this is really violent. So we have to be really careful about this.
Are we dealing with ideology here, or is it something closer to faith?
Myself, I think it really is akin to a cult. It's a complete delusion and an exception of the reality that the rest of us in society accept. And once people go down that rabbit hole, it seems very, very hard for them to get out.